So, welcome back to another Try and Fly with my Airbusses. And as promised in my last video, we're going to have a look at another Jardesign aircraft, a bit bigger than the last one, because this is the A330 from Jardesign. Current version, 3.1 release 2, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it has been around for some time now as well. I personally always thought that the 330 was more advanced and better than the A320. It came after it, and yeah, I think that was true for a long time now. But as we have seen, JAR has done quite a bit on the A320. They have vamped it up a bit. They improved many aspects of it. It's not perfect yet, but yeah, well, the A320, it has gone a long way. The 330 kind of stayed, at least as far as I am concerned, it stayed pretty stable on a certain level of yeah, of development. It has been improved slowly, and it is actually a very nice aircraft. And to me, at least, it always appeared more stable than the A320 before. So we're going to look at it again. I haven't flown the A330 also for quite some time. I've now installed it, updated it to the latest versions, and actually I have chosen a daylight here for the moment because I wanted to have a look at the aircraft in daylight. You can't really see that much from the modeling and so on if it's dark, but we're going to switch to the dark any moment now. Just let's go there, and as you can see, I think JAR did a much better job, a more advanced job here on the A330 than on the initial A320, which always looked a bit odd to me. And that is still true. It still looks pretty good. It's a good job here. So visually appealing, definitely. And so that's enough from the outside. Let's yeah, I just wanted to say let's hop into the aircraft, but somehow my keyboard isn't working. Let's see. Yes, it is actually working. Ah, the num keys weren't yeah, it had switched the keypad. All right. So one of the first things that you will see is you have this disturbing red flashing thing, which is supposed to indicate if your frames are too low. Now that is nonsense, because as you can see, we are running stably currently around 40 frames, where I have limited it. Yeah, this is a pain down there. You can't see it actually because I have this OBS, but down where this OBS, the Bene overlay is, I have a flashing light. Let me see, I'm going to quickly switch off the, let me see. Can you see it now? Yeah, now you can see it. It flashes there regularly. It's a bit of a pain. It's supposed to warn you that your frames are too low, and I had the same in the A320 and I switched it off. There is an easy way to turn it off. I'm going to show you in a moment. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you around the cockpit so that you see. I also think that he did a much better job on the modeling of the A330 cockpit than he did on the original A320. It has improved in the A320, as we have seen the last time. It's actually looking okay now. The A320 is actually quite fine. And the A330, I always thought he did a much better job from the start, and I quite like it, I have to say. So this is really looking good. What we're going to do now is, very quickly before we switch into the dark, is and I show you already the first thing that doesn't work as perfectly as it's supposed to. With the A330, you also get and you have to download it and install it in the latest version, the ground handling from JAR. Now, you do not have to pay. If you haven't got it licensed, like I do, you can still download it, or you have to actually download it, because you need it. You have to install it in the resources plugins folder, and then you have the whole ground handling functionality. And they also have put in, they have a pushback plugin, a tool, and they also added this. Now, this you don't have to download because it comes with the aircraft built in. And since we have better pushback, I don't really use it, but it is there. I can show you quickly later on. Now, here comes a problem that I have since the last version. I'm not sure why that is. I made sure that I have the latest version of the ground handling plugin, but there is a way to get around it, and that is, if you go here on the MCDU menu, you have all these options for loading and fuel, for ground handling, doors, pushback, sound volume, and settings. So the first thing I do is I go into the settings and I turn FPS message off. Unfortunately, it doesn't remember that, so I have to do this every time. But here you can see some options like rain on the window, and we can already see this here. What happens if I turn this off? That happens. Okay, that's actually quite nice. We shall see how the wipers look. I actually thought that on the A320 that effect, at least in the dark, didn't really... It's an effect, but the wipers didn't really help much, as they wouldn't have improved my visibility. But anyway, so then the right click. Right click is to get, as far as I understand it, is to get the click spots here for push and pull with the right click. So that's, yeah, it only works on certain knobs, and I'm going to show you when we look through the aircraft. There's some precision thing with the joystick, not sure what that does. And there's a shake camera, that means that your head is going to be bobbing a little bit depending on what the aircraft does. At least that's what I understand this is. Okay, so that's the options. Now the other thing is the ground handling. Now what is supposed to happen is that you, and I tried the original, the way I remember it is that you select what you want to have driving up, okay, and then you say drive up. Ah, okay, and now we got stuck. I hope we haven't crashed. That would be great for the video. So basically what it's doing is it's so we need to do that again. All right, now drive up. So what should have happened, or what should happen, is that all the stuff from ground handling should show up. And I distinctly remember that that did work before, but it doesn't look like it. So what I can do then is I can do drive away, do drive up, and sometimes they now show up, but more often than not they don't. So things have changed somehow to how I remember it, but there is a way around this, which I discovered. You basically call up the control window here of that, and you can already see that drive up is highlighted because you know, they are basically linked, but it's just that it doesn't work for some reason. So what you can do is you can select what you want to have driven up. Okay, so I'm going to call for the fuel. You need actually the fuel. We need the fuel truck. And oops, and I'm going to call. Oh, come on. I'm going to call the loaders here. That's the cat is the cargo. No, that's the catering. A little bit much catering. We don't need that. So let's keep it at that here, and maybe a bus for the passengers. And then you say drive up. Now that works, but it doesn't reflect here. So somehow it seems to have lost the connection between the ground handling. Now I'm assuming that this is the latest version. At least when I looked, it looked like the same version number. I may be wrong. Maybe they have updated it in the meantime, and that is fixed. That's a small little issue that I have. but it's not really. It's no big deal, you know. The nice thing is that because you get the ground handling plugin, you get a whole ballet of things. There is one thing that I'm not so happy about, and that is it kind of ends up all behind the aircraft when they drive away and all that. It's a bit, yeah, it's a bit stupid, because then you need to hide them in order to pass through them, you know. I also edited it because you got an ambulance, a fire truck, a limousine, and all that looks pretty stupid on a normal day. So it's no problem actually going into the ground handling here and go to tools, build aircraft set, and actually modify what units are supposed to be. And I just done away with all the crap that we don't need. We don't need a fire truck just beside the aircraft. So that's what's easy to do, and now we have what we actually need. So very nice, and yeah, it's a nice option that you get with the aircraft, and you don't have to pay for it. Yeah. Okay, so far for the outside. We now also should have ground power. Yes, we do. Turn on the battery, and then I am activating the external power. The next thing I do is already align the ADS, because they take some time. Now the thing is, here you need to actually drag, and you have to drag very slowly, because what happens to me is, more often than not, I end up in the attitude mode, trying to get to the nav mode. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Now there isn't any of these other lights coming up. You just see these on battery quickly lining up. So I'm not sure if that's correct or not. I'm not that deep into the A330. It may be okay. Maybe actually the way the A330 does it. In other Airbuses you would see some align light coming on. Well, anyway. The other thing we do is we will start setting up, oh yeah, the nav light. Whoops. Again here, partially drag mode, partially click mode. So we have here drag mode in this case. So that's JAR since the beginning. A slightly, for me, slightly inconsistent way of handling this. Well, anyway. Okay, next thing you do, or we will do, is we will actually switch back into dark. So I'm going to put it on 6 o'clock. That should still have some brightness in the sky, but and then I'm turning on the panel light, and yeah, we have an inconsistency here, which I'm not sure that that's in the real Airbus, and it was a bit of a pain, because here's the dome light, and I can switch as much as I like. No dome lights coming on. Actually, what you need to do is you need to first use the center light or something, switch, and then you can turn on the dome light. I've programmed a switch for myself that switches them both on my hardware. Yeah, it's these small little things. They're not really bad, but that's what you actually get in a Jardesign Airbus. Little inconsistencies. I can't imagine that you have a switch in an Airbus that you can switch and nothing happens, and unless you do another switch that actually is supposed to do something slightly different. I'm pretty sure that's not the reality, but as I say, it's not really that bad. So I'll put the nav lights and the logo lights on. Yeah, logo lights are on. So here it is, and what you can do next is you can go and do your light switches. Here you have to drag, not click, like in the other Airbuses we've seen. Okay, you just get used to it, but This is also not click, this is drag, and these two units, so this is actually not two separate units. Everything is duplicated. So what you do on the one side, you do also on the other side. It's as simple as that. Flight director, they go on both sides. So you don't have to worry about aligning your pressure or anything like that. Okay, so the next thing I do while we are looking around the cockpit is I'm going to start pilot to ATC, because we're supposed to have ATC. There's, by the way, a checklist here. Okay, with all these little tick boxes. It's okay. This is the before start checklist. Checklists work different here to the A320. It's more automatic on the side kind of thing. Instead of you actively calling for it and clicking. Yeah, but that's just the way things have developed over time. So let me call up the flight plan. Pilot to ATC stuck. There it is. Okay. Let me show you this again, and that also reminds us of our route. We are here in Munich. We're going to fly heading 08 on the 08 left. We're going to fly via ANKER, departure, AKINI, BAMTA, Rosap, and then come back via Mike and land on 08 left. That's the ATC route for it. The same one we're going to use now for every flight, and I'm going to connect now.
Weather is not currently available for Munich. Arriving and departing runway 26 left, 26 right.
No.
Munich information Quebec.
That can't be because our wind is
227 at 6 knots. Visibility 6 miles. Sky condition BFR.
Yeah.
Temperature -1.
That is slightly stupid, but
UNH is 1037. Arriving and departing runway 26 left, 26 right. Munich information Quebec, 620 Zulu winds are
so 26 left is definitely not the runway we want to go. Not with the wind coming from the east. We want to take off towards the east. Okay, so that's our ATC being set up. And next thing we need to do is we need to actually load fuel, and we need to provide the loading. For that we go here in the MCDU menu, go to load and fuel, and you get a lot of stuff here. So first of all, I'm going to pre-select 10 tons of fuel. The A330 is using a bit more than a normal Airbus, but 10 tons should actually be sufficient, and that is reflected here. And we could now change all the cargo and the seats. I just leave it at what it is right now. That gives us a CG of 29.4, which is okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I would say, well, what's that here? 18 tons kilogram max landing weight. Are we in the? Yeah, we are. Well, we are shortly before the maximum landing weight. Okay. We're not going to use much fuel because our route is pretty... So let's reduce everything a little bit. So max zero fuel weight. Dry operating weight, where's the zero fuel weight, is 159, so we are now below the 18 tons, and we are also below the 168 tons for maximum zero fuel weight. We're here. Okay, so you just try and keep these in the green. So that's actually a nice feature. I quite like it, and that gives us a takeoff trim of 2.8 and 29.3, and we're going to use this then when we set up the FMC. Now I go to the init page and I start entering the route. I could load the route from a file, but I'm going to align the IRS. Flight number is T1. Cost index is 25. And let's see if that works the same way as in the miss data. Yeah, okay. 200. No, it takes it, but it potentially deletes it again. So 31 tons. I think you can click here and it will fill in the values for you, but it will not do any prediction because we haven't got the flight plan in yet. So I'm going to via Echo Delta Delta Mike 08 left, and we're going to take the Anchor 8 Quebec. No transition in there. Alright. Then we go to AKINI. And you need to, oops, yeah, I was wrong. I accidentally hit the wrong line. Yeah, so you need to go click after the waypoint you want to put it. I just hit the wrong line select key. So let's take this out. So Anchor AKINI. Next is OSTES. Put that here, and then comes BAMTA, and I'm entering it because I want to see what happens when I provide now the departure route. Insert temporary. Why are we there? Don't know. So OSTES BAMTA. Okay, we still have the discontinuity. I'm going to go to the arrival. ILS 08 left. Oops, BAMTA 3 Alpha. No transition into the temporary flight plan. Let's see. Yeah, looks good. Insert. Okie dokie. Now let's have a look at this. I'm going to call up the navigation display, and we're going to quickly, oh yeah, I forgot, hang on, I need to pop this in. This is X texture extractor, because, well, actually the I forgot. Yes, no, let's take this out again. There is actually a pop-up, slightly weirdly done, and they haven't yet adjusted it to the way the A320 has actually now the windows, which I find very good. So let's quickly drive through. Yeah, and you can't have, that's explain. So we're taking off. Yeah, we're flying via Anchor, AKINI, OSTES, ROSAP, and that is actually looking very good. I remember times when I would have issues entering flight plan. This looks pretty good. It has taken the departure, the arrival. Everything looks pretty fine. Let's check the altitudes and the speeds. This looks okay too. Some holes here, but that means yeah, I think it puts this in when the speed hasn't changed. Yeah, so anyway, there are speeds, so that looks okay to me. Performance. So what did we say? We said flaps. Oh yeah, we're going to take off with flaps 2/2.8 up, I suppose that is, up 2.8. We're going to take flex 45. And here you can actually have it put in your V-speeds for you. Just click, done. And we've done our setup. Now the A320 was a little bit weird when it comes to the speeds. Therefore, next phase, climb speed managed is 301. Can we change this to 900? No. Here? Ah, yeah. So pre-selected 290. And how do I switch to pre? Oh, well, that's probably when I do not manage mode. Okay. Then our cruise at Mach 0.73 and our descent, that looks much better than in the A320. We had some weird speeds there, like over 300 for the climb, and it was a bit strange. Okay, so that looks actually pretty okay. I'm going to set the QNH temperature is so yeah, what is the temperature? It's 12 degrees at the moment. The wind is 090 with 9 knots. Transition 5000. The decision height, the MDA is 1517. I'm going to enter also the decision height with 200. We are going to land with config full. So we've got that one already in. It's a little bit early, but since we have such a short flight, it's okay to do this already. Okie dokie, that's it. Let's quickly check the radio page. MUN 1112.3, IMNE 109.5, 080. That is looking pretty good. And I think we're done. We can do away with this here. And I'm now going to go to the clearance delivery and request clearance. So let me quickly get a piece of paper to do some note taking. Quality 999 ready. Oh, Kaspersky, why can't you remember when I tell you it's okay? Again, my virus program is trying to protect me from myself. Quality 999 ready to copy IFR clearance. Quality 999 ready to copy IFR clearance. I'm afraid I am probably now. They have probably blocked it now. Most likely. Oh, come on. Not when I do a video. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, we used to say it. We use say it, it's okay.
Quality 9er, we don't have a flight plan on file for you.
Oh yeah, I'm doing the same mistake every time. Forget to actually press that button. Okay.
Quality 9er ready to copy IFR clearance.
Quality 9er is cleared to Echo Delta Delta Mike. Fly the ANKE8Q departure, with the anchor transition, then as filed. Expect departure runway 08 left. Climb to flight level 050 via the departure. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Squawk 3631.
Quality 9er is cleared to Echo Delta Delta Mike fly the ANKE8Q departure with the anchor transition then F5 climb to flight level 050 via the departure.
It's just that's a purpose.
After departure, squawk 3631.
Yeah.
Quality 9er read back correct. QNH's 1037 contact
What was it?
ground on 121.77 when ready for pushback. Enjoy your evening.
Forgot now what the frequency was.
QNH 1037 ground on
1037. How come? It's supposed to have the weather from the simulator. That can't be right. What is different today? Sim weather. Yeah, well. So let me find the squawk code, because otherwise we're going to get barked at. Departure 63. Flight level 02. Expect higher clearance 2 minutes after the squawk. 3631. 36. 3631. There, we got it. Cool. Right. So, the other thing we can do now is, so we have finished all the setup here. Good. Position report is not implemented. Right. And voice cruise. Why is it flight level 190? That's not what I remember putting. It has put in 190. That's a weird behavior of both the jars when it comes to the altitude. Okay, but we've corrected that one. Let me see if that actually. Now, let me see. AKINI, and then flight level 200, and then down to OSTES again. Yeah, it's only a short time where we are on this flight level, which is okay. No matter, okay. Right. So that means we are ready. Let's go to the before start checklist. Cockpit preparation is completed. Gear bins and covers removed. Signs on auto, ADS, nav, fuel quantity 10 tons, takeoff data is set, and the barrel is 10. I think this is not quite right, so I'm going to always check here. It's actually 1013, so I'm not going to change this. And the other way to proving this or checking this is that we are around 1400 something feet. 1037 can't be right, yeah. So that's okay. So we leave it at the moment on this, and I turn this off as well. Okay, time to actually drive away all the stuff around us, and I'm doing this the quick way. Oh, what's it? Oh, yeah. God bless it. Doesn't do it right away because we have actually forgotten to turn on the APU. There's no flap thing coming on. I've tried. I press the first button, flap open never shows. It actually shows when you press the lower button. At least it was like that on my first test flight. So refuel is in progress, which I doubt. But we need to drive away. APU is very quick, so it's already here. And I go here, MCD, menu, ground handling, and you can see this is all. Now let's see. They're gone. The doors are still open. Okay, we need to do that as well. So close, 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 close. So somehow the external and the internal two, they don't work together perfectly. I remember this being better than that, but it's okay. Possibly another update of ground handling also will fix it, or maybe there's something else I haven't thought about. But you can see that normally we should have actually jumped out of ground power once I drive it away. Thank God it didn't do it like that, because that would have meant the usual Costa forgets the APU crap. So I'm turning on the beacon and I'm calling better pushback. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you quickly, there is this pushback functionality. When you do this, then you are in this tool, you can connect a push truck and then you can control how you want to be pushed. I don't do that, okay, but it's there. If you don't have or don't want to use better pushback, we have a far better tool, and I'm going to call it now. Yeah, unfortunately it never remembers, so I need to always show it where I want to go. We want to push so that we are facing north. See, it actually detects where the taxiway is, and then you say enter.
Bodenanbrücke. Der Schlepper bringt sich in Position.
Thank you. All right. So we're now on the ground frequency, and
Bodenanbrücke. Alle Türen und Luken sind verschlossen. Wir sind bereit, den Schlepper zu verbinden.
test. Yeah, I seem to have managed to block and now say it isn't doing it either, or what? No.
Quality 9er pushback and engine start approved.
Okay. I seem to have inadvertently blocked my microphone now from Pilot to ATC. I mean, it's great that you have protection, but this is a pain in the underside. Why do they need to block my microphone from a program? You know, I must have hit the wrong... I thought I did, but it is blocked. It is obviously not working anymore. It doesn't... I'm gonna be glad that it hasn't blocked it from OBS. Okay. Have they brought us? Is that already? I think we are ready, aren't we? What was the last it said? Didn't hear that now. Anyway, let's try that.
Park brake off.
Wir beginnen mit dem Pushback. Die
Okay.
Triebwerke sind frei zum Anlassen.
Triebwerke frei zum Anlassen. Okay. So. Drag. Drag.
Engine 2.
Number 2. Frames are now a little bit down. We're in and around 30. So once you've set up the whole thing, you start to seeing certain reductions in frames, depending on where you look actually. Okay, so this is partially also the airport having its toll. So thing is now, where exactly Aktuelle Aktivität programs. Okay, so now I need to find pilot to ATC and see if I can unblock it.
Pushback and engine start approved, quality 9.
Oh well. And number 1.
Starting engine 1.
Der Push-Vorgang ist abgeschlossen. Bitte setzen Sie die Parkbremse.
Okay. Park brake is set.
Schlepper wird getrennt. Einen kleinen Moment bitte.
With 2 good starts, we can turn the APU off. And we do after start. So anti-ice, the temperature. Let's quickly check. Temperature is I think I did atmospheric conditions is 15 degrees, so we will not require anti-ice. We're above 10 degrees. Decam status checked, so let's arm the spoilers.
Flaps 1. Flaps 2.
Go for flaps 2.
Entfernt, der Bypasspin ist gezogen. Freibrechen gibt's von der linken Seite.
Arm the auto brake. Okay. What do you say? Left side, I think. Yeah, there he is. The pitch trim 2.8 up. I think it does it itself. This one actually moves into the right position. We are where we are supposed to be. And we have a rudder trim of 0. Yeah, that's here. So I'm going to put this into auto mode. And now we request taxi.
Quality 9er ready to taxi.
Quality 9er taxi to runway 08 left via taxiways Charlie 3, Oscar 1, Charlie 1, November 1, Alpha 4, Mike, Alpha 2, hold short runway 08 left.
Yeah, Charlie 3. I don't think so. I don't think so. So what was that? Via Charlie 3 and then November 1. Yeah. Okay, November 1 is correct. Charlie 3 is actually behind us, so let's forget that. We just do the same that we have done the last time. Oh, we pushed on the red line. Doesn't matter. We just go straight ahead and then take the left of the 2 bridges. Okay. Taxi lights on. Brake off. Now this is a heavy aircraft, so you need some power to get it rolling. And I'm going to turn off the panel lights now. It basically wanted us to go on the other side near the terminal building and then travel at the terminal building and then come over here again. So the taxi instructions are not helpful that we get from pilot to ATC. I ignore them usually. It doesn't care anyway, as long as we end up on the right runway. So November 1 is the left one here. So I'm going to use the red line to get back. So, and I have a bit of a still some optimization to be done on the joystick profile on this new response curve. The taxi somehow doesn't work, and you need to be slow enough. So I was a little bit too fast, so I had to use the brakes to slow down in order to get around that bend, which is not unrealistic, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, and as you can see, I'm basically as if I'm doing a flight now in the evening, you know, evening flight of this aircraft. I try it out, I see where I stumble. It's not that this aircraft is completely new to me, but I haven't flown it for some time. I haven't flown in this particular version. So far, I have to say, I quite like it. The sound is a payware sound kit from BSS that you can buy. It's not that expensive. I think it was rather reasonable, but it adds a good immersion, good sound to the aircraft, because the original sound from JAR is okay, but it's yeah, it's not great. So having this sound kit, I think, improves things a lot. What did it say? I think it was Alpha 2. Alpha 2, yeah. So I think Alpha 2 is this year. Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah. I need to go there. Still need to work a little bit on that response curve for the steering tiller. Should be passed on to tower any moment. Okay, park and brake.
On.
Taxi to runway 08 left via taxiways Charlie 3 Oscar 1 Charlie 1 November 1 Alpha 4 Alpha 4. The what? Alpha 4? No, that's nonsense. That is nonsense. So it's actually giving me some problems here. I'm going to
Ground quality 99 ready for departure runway 08 left.
Quality 9er contact tower on 118
okay,
decimal
that's the way it
7.
works. So we're on tower now. We're ready for departure.
Tower quality 99 ready for departure runway 08 left.
So let's
Quality 9er
prepare.
R227 at 6 knots cleared for takeoff. Runway 08 left, squawk 3631.
Cleared for takeoff runway 08 left, walking 3631 quality 99.
Hang on, that's it. Then we'll have to arm the speed brake again, I just realized.
Spoilers disarmed.
I know it was armed.
Spoilers armed.
Yep, flaps too. And let's go to the flight plan page. So flight controls, they are checked. But we could actually do this again. Okay. This is not about formal flight procedures. Flight instruments are checked. Briefing is confirmed. Flap settings config 2. The V1s we have set, and then ATC, ECA memo, takeoff no blue. You can also press on the takeoff button, although there's no problem, it actually shows a problem. So that's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, anyway. So let's. So why don't we see landing lights? What is this? Okay. Let's do that again. Okay, there seems to be a problem with my programming. Okay, we've got lights.
Park brake off.
Need to check why we're not having landing lights. It worked when I did the programming, doesn't work today. And rolling takeoff. Manual flex 45. The lever climb shouldn't blink. That's wrong.
Power set.
Power is set. SAS runway. The lever climb is not correct. We should not see this.
100 knots.
Check.
V1.
Rotate.
And rotation.
Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up. Standard Barrow cross check. Passing flight level 0.
Oh,
2,
what is this?
0.
What is this? There's a lot of swinging going on. Okay.
Autopilot 2. Cross check.
And now let's go into lever climb.
Need to check if everything is okay with the lungs.
Oh, shut up. Yeah, it's probably the runway turn-off lights. Taxi lights are off, right? Yeah. Is the strobes on? Yeah, I think they are on. It's hard to see. check. Yeah, strobes are on. So let's pop in. Since we don't have a pop-up for the PFD, now what is this? In German we'll call that Schiffschaukel. Climb flight level 100. Okay, this is probably the way they simulate turbulences. Guessing. 5,000. Oh, it doesn't know that we are on... Did I not set this? I thought I did. Transition altitude 5,000. We shouldn't really blink. Not sure what that is. Now it's quiet. Okay. We are still on relatively low speed. Okay, because that's the reason is we haven't got the flaps in yet, so we need to do that. That's good. And you can see that it is struggling with the turbulences. And why are we not managed on the speed? When did that happen? Not sure. Flaps up. So somehow the speed jumped out and I didn't realize. Well. Let's see what happens. Okay. Wipers are somehow illuminated. Interesting. And at least the wipers are actually in my field of view, not like with the A320 where it was somewhere down here. That's okay. But as always, it switches both wipers. If you use the left or the right switch, you get them both. So that's the night lighting. Any light switches below here are not working, even if they're not. 160. You have to push. And we're supposed to Switch frequency. And now we need to check in. I'm also popping in the other display. I can disarm the ground spoilers. And it still complains about something with the lights. Let's the panel lights and check. So strobes are on, beacon is on, nav light is on, off. This is not fully retracted. Okay, that's probably why it's complaining. And we can actually let the passengers out. Okay, so far so good. The interesting bit will be we'll reach 200 before we have to come down again. Climb and maintain flight level 200. So ATC has cleared us just in time. For us to continue, don't forget to press with the left mouse key, or it will not climb. It will, once it's stuck on an altitude, it will stay there. So we're climbing quite rapidly, as you can see here. 4,000 feet a minute is a bit much, but yeah. So what you can do though is you could activate the, oops, no. Yeah, that's programmed it wrong. So you can reduce this to something lower, or you use manage mode. Fuel flow is a whopping 12 tons an hour during the climb, but larger engines and heavy airplane. Have we actually got the weather radar on? Now we've got it. Let's see if that makes any indication. So you can see now there's the top of climb, which we're approaching, and then we have a very short period where we fly on 200 and then we're going down again, but my guess is that we are going to be requested to descend any moment by ATC. So we just about made it to flight level 200. Let's see how he's leveling off.
We are close to top of descent, sir.
Transition for the ILS approach to runway 08 left with the MIQ transition at Munich after OSTES cleared direct BAMTA.
So we're cleared direct BAMTA. And I see a problem here already, and that is we're actually BAMTA is, yeah, we can't do the overflight. So what I'm going to do now is descent 170. So I'm going to go managed and continue manually to BAMTA. Okay, so this is one of the aircraft which does things earlier than expected. 170. And managed. No, let's do it. Selected.
182 to return to course.
Heading 182.
Heading 182, quality 99.
Heading 182. And return to course. Ah, yeah. Okay, which means that we could, in theory, go back because and Rosat. So, although we would have turned off quite early, ATC actually told us the same thing. Oh, fair enough then. As long as ATC is happy. So are we descending? Yes, we are.
Quality 99, resume navigation.
Resume on navigation.
Resume navigation, quality 99.
So we're all going to overshoot Rosat, or what's it called? Slightly, I would think. Rose up. Okay, you can't switch into the default page because it doesn't turn off. Not quite 100% as it should be, but yeah. So I'm expecting it to switch to bingo because otherwise we're going to drive in circles here. So we've reached 170. And if it's going to try now to catch up Rose up, we have a problem, and it looks like it is most likely going to do that. So I'm preparing to say bingo. Yep. And it's a heavy and large aircraft, so it takes some time to get round, but it shouldn't go back to Rose up. It's no point. Right. I hope we haven't missed any instructions. 050. Okay. Again, we are supposed to descend on the transition, which means that we need to actually get down to 5,000 and until Mike. So I'm going to attempt and see if managed mode gets us anywhere. Because according to this we should still be on flight level 200, which is definitely not correct. Yeah. So the altitudes here on the FMC is, you can forget about that. Not one of the strengths of this of Jardesign Airbuses anyway, the vertical stuff. So we are descending, right? Yes, we are. Anyway, they have instructed us to descend along the arrival, and the arrival in the charts tells us that we need to be around 5,000 feet at MIQ. If we would be higher than that, we would have difficulties getting ready for the ILS approach anyway, so I've actually started a little bit earlier than the last flight to get down. Now, that is one of the things with the Jardesign Airbuses. You cannot rely very much on, especially on the vertical capabilities of the FMGS. That's just the way it is. You need to do it yourself here. You need to really watch out and calculate and make sure that you're descending in time. If you rely on the systems here, you might end up too high, too fast, and possibly in the wrong place as well. The reason why I put Bingu in right away is because my experience on my first flight was that it would start flying in circles. Okay, so it has a problem due to the sharp bend, that's why it's in there, to get back onto the track, and it didn't detect that it is actually past rose up. It should normally, and other airplanes do that, it should normally have switched to Bingu. It didn't do that, and the first time around I didn't realize that, and I started flying circles, 360s, and it would never hit rose up and it would never continue to Bingu. So that's why I actually switched to Bingu in order to prevent this from happening during our try and fly. So if you realize that it's not going to make back to the track properly, just go to the next waypoint, change the FMC to go direct next waypoint. Yeah, forget about that. 1037. So mic transition, approach on 128.0. So we're on the approach. I'm going to
Quality 99 descending to flight level 050.
Quality 909 good evening.
So we're now flying
Radar
towards
contact.
MIQ. So the airport should be visible. There's clouds here because we're still relatively high. We have 7 tons of fuel left, so we are fine. There's an outer tank transfer going on, so the automatic system is doing some fuel transfer. So from the outright tank. Frames are pretty good. Pretty good. So we're taking auto brake low. Munich has a long runway. You can now should be able to see. There's clouds here. So the airport is somewhere here. So it's too early yet to see the airport. In this aircraft, you cannot pop out the PFD. I'm guessing that eventually JAR will do it the same way as he did with the A320. I would definitely wish to see that here in the A330. And yeah, so far there has been far less Jardesignisms compared to the A320. I had some issues with in the 320, especially on the approach then. The ILS was a catastrophe. It didn't work, basically. So I'm really hoping that this bird will not experience the same issues. It looks pretty good though. As I say, the A330 was always, in my view, was always a bit better implemented and more stable than the A320. So we're back in the zone with the turbulences, and you can see some shaking going on. And I just realized that there is something wrong here, the mic transition. I don't think we are flying the mic transition. That's not good. I just realized it didn't put in the mic transition, and it didn't have transitions. So yeah, okay. So I'm going to simulate now the mic transition, because otherwise it would be in trouble with the altitude as well. I didn't see that actually. So I'm going to go to Mike. Let's check this again. Arrival, ILS 08. BAMTA 3 Alpha, there is no transition, that's why. Okay, raise. So let's go MIQ. Not allowed. Oh yeah. MIQ. And we're going to fly this manually now. Okay. So I didn't realize that. Didn't just escaped my attention. No. Yeah, it
Need to check though. If everything is okay with
the light. Yeah. BAMTA 3 Alpha. Okay, into the temporary flight plan. So, oh, that's not good. I'm afraid we have messed things up a bit now. So let's see, where would it actually take us? It doesn't look like we're going to be anywhere correct now. Yeah. Okay, we'll stay manual and we'll get the aircraft. 8,000? Why 8,000? I told it to do 5,000. See, that's the other thing. You need to really watch out because this bird, and it should not have the dot here. The dot is for managed only. So we're descending now, landing lights on. Yeah, we've messed up a little bit. I shouldn't have interfered. Should have let it on the track, but... So we have some issues. It is although I have a Navigraph ERAC, and it's a current one, it couldn't see the transitions. It should have actually seen, and I didn't realize that. I forgot about that, actually. So the question is... Magat, yeah, we want to get to Magat. And we need to be at 5,000 at Magat, and we need to be much slower than we are right now. So I'm going to activate the approach phase now. Just have to make sure that we're speed-wise okay. It sees the ILS, but we don't have reception yet. How fast are we? Yeah, we're getting down. Speed is fine. But we have stopped descending. Probably in order to slow down. So I'm going to help it a little bit. We need to get down. Take this a little bit less. So, flight plan. Let's go direct Magat. Let's try and see what it does when I go direct Magat. Okay, we're back, I think, on automatic. that's exactly what I try to find out when I do these kind of flights. See what happens. Like when this would have been a VATSIM flight now, it would have been a pretty mess, okay? Because if it would actually request me to go descending to flight level 050, yeah, exactly. So we are at 050 and standard. So let's put that back. So we're on the approach frequency, we have radar contact. And we've reduced the speed. So far it's actually looking okay. It sees actually the localizer and the glide slope. That's good. Going to take flaps 1. And it should now slow down to the slat retraction speed, which is relatively low, 190. Okay. 170. That's a bit slow. Well, anyway, we shouldn't be too fast for our turn here, because this is a large aircraft. And I prefer to slow down earlier than later, just to make sure that we're not too high, too fast. And we can already see that the glide slope is coming in. That is not good. I think we... 118.7. And flaps 2.
Flaps 2.
So this could already be now the end of it, because, well, no, it says glide slope localizer. We're lucky because some airplanes will not intercept if you are above the glide slope. We seem to have just about made it right. Gear down. And we're now on the tower frequency. So we're clear to land, 08 left. So how far are we? Flaps 3.
Radio altimeter alive.
2,500.
Going to activate autopilot 2.
1 cross check.
Both autopilots, I mean. Both flight directors on, yeah. So we're going to see if an autoland works under these conditions.
Flaps full.
So this is working quite nicely. Unlike the A320, this one has actually been very helpful with the approach. Sounds like the desktop sound is quite loud. I hope that my voice hasn't been overwritten. See, every add-on, every aircraft is different, and it's always very difficult to strike a good balance between the background sound, which you want to hear as well. So I sincerely hope that I haven't been overwritten by the noise, because that means I would have to record this whole video again, which wouldn't be the first time I have to do that. But let's hope that this first take is it. So although it's shaking a bit, but that's due to the turbulences that I have programmed, we're looking very good. I also quite like the general look in the dark. Oh, spoilers.
Spoilers armed.
Now they're armed. I thought I did this already, but well, it could be something, a bit of a jitter on the axis. Might have to change the profile again. So we are good for an automatic landing, because Munich is category 3 capable, this aircraft.
If everything is okay with the launch.
Yeah. You know, don't ask me what this guy always has with his lights.
500.
Land green check.
Okay.
300.
You can see the rain.
Minimum.
Well, this is a very basic effect. Again, the wipers are basically useless. They just, in this case, they're actually obstructing my view more than they help.
50. 40. 30.
We are not centered.
20.
But that's not the only aircraft that has difficulties centering on the ILS retard.
Ground spoilers. This out.
So we've landed.
Reverse green.
Okay. $80 knots. Manual braking. Autopilot has turned itself off correctly. And yeah, slightly very sensitive brakes. But I have to say, I am impressed. So the A330 fared really well. No really big problems. Some small thingies, but they're all, can all forget about those. No problem there. So let's just with the brakes. I need to check this. This doesn't look right. Probably the response curve that needs to be amended. No problem though. So let's already start this. Now let's turn off the landing lights. Let's turn off the let's turn on the taxi lights, and let's turn off the strobes. So APU is coming on. It's important. Is that the taxi light? Yeah, it is. Okay. So, and I think we can turn off those wipers. It's not that they're really helping us a lot. And the other thing is the transponder, which is we put into standby mode. And now we'll request. Oh yeah, so we're telling it now that we clear off the active.
Clear of active quality 999. Quality 999, welcome to Munich, contact ground on 121.77.
Okay. Alright, and we have now a request. We want to actually taxi, and we want to taxi to the gate.
Quality 999, request taxi to the gate.
Quality 999er taxi to gate 101 via taxiways Alpha 10, Mike, Alpha 5, November
101.
Charlie 1.
Park brake off.
Taxi lights are a little bit not so effective, it seems. And the runway turn-off lights, nah, it's okay. Okay, and as far as Pilot ATC is concerned, they're off the hook now. So there isn't anything more. And I'm not going to follow these instructions, and I'm not going to go to 101, which is at the other side of the airport, all the way down. I'm going to take the next gate that comes our way here on Terminal 2. So don't, as I say, don't taxi too fast in the turns, and I need to adjust a little bit my response curve for the steering. It's not bad, but it is very sluggish, so when you're faster, like 10 knots, you might actually have an issue getting around sharper bends. But that's something that can be adjusted, because with new X-Plane this is possible, and this is fantastic. It's one of these features I've been waiting for a long time, and now if I have very sensitive steering or very sensitive this or the other, I can go and I can correct it until it feels right and it works for me, which is something that yeah, thanks Laminar. This makes the simulator again one step better, and actually drives me further away from prepared, because I'm just happy enough here with this. So I'm going to take the next, not this, the next exit, because we're going to stop at the main Terminal 2. We're not going to go to the satellite. So we're at 24, which is a bit fast for the turn. Make sure that you're not much faster than 10-12 knots. Oh. Yeah, and as I say, it is a little bit sluggish, so it takes some time for those steering inputs to actually filter through. You get used to it though. And again, I have made some response curves. I need to optimize them a little bit more. Very, very nice. So I'm actually quite happy with this experience, I have to say. So I always liked the 330 far more than the A320. And this has actually, yeah, and don't forget, you need input from the engines. This aircraft will not happily roll for you. You have to really push it. Push it, push it. So. Come on. So yeah, this gate is a bit interesting. Let's see. Yeah, it has detected that we are on this one. See how centered are we? Actually very centered, which is very good. And let's see. I think these guys have designed this a little bit wrong by putting all these cards in the way. Anyway, that should do for us.
Park brake on.
Park brake on. And engines off. So let's bring back all the Actually, I forgot to bring in the flaps. Right. So, that was the Jardesign A330. Really, really well done, I have to say. I'm really happy with it. Oops. And yeah, it's definitely going to be an Airbus that I'm going to use in the future. And yeah, way to go, JAR. Let's try and improve on this aircraft, because I think it is a very good combination. Also with ground handling, once we get these little hiccups with the ground handling sorted out. But as I say, it's not a big deal. There are ways of getting the stuff to your aircraft. And this is a SAM gate experimenting here. Well, the beacon is still on, so I need to turn the beacon off, because this thing is controlled by the beacon light. Right, I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching. And until next time, which is going to be probably the Flight Factor A350, which I'm going to give another spin. Until then, thank you, and bye-bye.